The first signal, the stars looked calm, but silence in space always carried danger. The Galaxy Council had gathered in secret, their eyes fixed on the far edge of human space. They had heard whispers of it before, rumors of a new species, bold and strange, a young race that built machines faster than empires thousands of years older. Still, the Council did not move. They only watched. And then, it happened. A wall of alien ships appeared out of the void like shadows tearing through light. The Armada was massive, thousands of cruisers, carriers, and dreadnoughts. Each one glowed with cold fire, weapons locked, engines roaring. Their leader's voice echoed across every channel in space. Humans, surrender your colonies, kneel before the Armada, or be erased. On Earth, in the colonies of Mars and Titan, and on outposts scattered across the stars, fear spread like wildfire. People stared at their screens in silence. The aliens had spoken with no diplomacy, no negotiation. They did not ask. They demanded. The first strike came quickly. Before any human reply, before even a word of resistance, the Armada opened fire. A small human outpost near the edge of the system burned instantly. Explosions ripped through stations. Fire scattered across black space. But deep inside Earth's defense command, the room stayed quiet. Generals did not panic. Admirals did not shout. The Supreme Commander only stood tall, eyes locked on the glowing red dots of the alien fleet. "So they fired first," he whispered. The Council of Admirals nodded. One by one they gave the order, activate the United Earth Fleet. In hidden docks around Earth, in secret shipyards on the Moon, in tunnels under Mars, engines came alive. The hum of power crawled through steel. Thousands of human ships, once silent and unseen, woke up like sleeping giants, but the public did not know. Ordinary people believe, and the Armada would crush them within hours. Panic ran through the streets. Markets closed, prayers filled the air, and families clung together. They thought this was the end. The aliens thought so too. Inside the alien flagship, commanders laughed at human hesitation. Their leaders sneered. They hide behind silence. They are weak. They will break. But there was something strange in that silence. Hours passed. The Armada moved deeper into human space, destroying satellites, scattering probes, and tearing apart communication relays. Each blast lit the void like fireworks of death. Still, humanity did not reply. No ship came forward. No warning shot was fired. And then, one human voice broke the silence. A transmission from Earth carried through the void. It was calm, steady, almost cold. "You fired first. We remember." The aliens laughed again. "Words will not save you, humans." But the laughter died when their scanners lit up. From behind Earth's moon, from the shadows of Mars, from the dark between asteroids, ships began to appear, small at first, then many, cruisers, destroyers, carriers, each one flying the symbol of the United Earth. The aliens scanned them and sneered. Primitive, weak metal, slow engines. Yet they did not notice the formation, the silence in which humans moved, the precision of their lines. A young alien officer reported nervously, "Commander, they do not attack. They only wait." "Let them wait," the commander barked. "We will crush them in one blow." But deep inside the human fleet, the admirals watched. They had planned for this moment for years in shadows, for decades of preparation. Humans were never blind. They had seen what empires did to weaker worlds. They knew this day would come. A single order traveled across every human ship. "Hold your fire. Wait for their mistake." On the ground, children asked their parents, "Will we die?" Mothers and fathers gave no answer. They only held tighter. Above, the alien armada prepared its second wave. Weapons glowed brighter, the void shook with energy, and then it happened. The aliens fired again, aiming at a human fleet near Mars. Beams of light stretched across millions of kilometers, weapons burning like suns. But when the light cleared, human ships were still there. Shields glowed, armor cracked but held. And in that moment, the silence broke. "All units," the admiral's voice thundered. Return fire. The first human shot lit the darkness. It was not just a blast of energy. It was a message. A single alien cruiser shattered into pieces before it could even scream. The Armada froze. For the first time in thousands of years of conquest, they realized something was wrong. This was not weakness. This was not silence. This was the storm waiting to strike. Humanity's answer, the alien commander sat in silence as the first cruiser of his fleet broke apart, scattered into burning fragments. His claws tightened around the arm of his chair. It was supposed to be impossible. Humans were young, weak, untested. No record in the Council archives showed them winning even a minor war. Yet one shot from their fleet had torn through alien shields as if they were made of paper. On the human side, the admirals did not cheer. They did not celebrate. They only spoke in calm voices, moving pieces in a deadly game. Confirmed target destroyed. Confirmed. Shift formation Bravo 7. Prepare rail batteries. Every command was sharp and cold, like a blade drawn in silence. In cities across Earth, people froze as the broadcast reached them. For the first time since the invasion began, the news showed an alien cruiser turning into dust. Streets that had been filled with fear now filled with hope. People shouted, cried, hugged strangers. Still, many whispered, "Was it luck? Can we really win?" In space, the answer was already forming. The alien commander snarled, "Focus fire! Destroy those primitive shells!" A storm of alien weapons burst forward, glowing beams and plasma storms filling the void. Entire human squadrons vanished in fire, their ships torn apart. But then, something unexpected happened. Instead of retreating, the human ships moved closer. Alien scanners blinked in confusion. Humans did not fight like any empire they had faced before. Most races built lines of defense, walls of firepower, slow and predictable tactics. Humans were different. Their ships darted between enemy cruisers like wolves among giants, using speed instead of size, surprise instead of strength. A young alien officer shouted, "Commander, they are changing formations mid-battle." "Impossible," the commander roared. "No fleet can adapt that fast." But humans were doing exactly that. Orders traveled instantly between ships, captains adjusting in seconds. One human destroyer slipped behind an alien cruiser and unleashed a burst of kinetic rounds. The cruiser cracked in half. Another human corvette spun through enemy fire, weaving dangerously close, and planted mines that detonated across alien shields. The alien fleet began to stumble. Inside the human flagship, Admiral Reyes stood tall. His eyes glowed with the light of screens, his voice steady. They expected fear. Give them discipline instead. Hold the line. No panic. Every shot counts. He knew the truth. Humans could not match the aliens in numbers. The Armada was still larger, stronger. But humans had something different. Not just weapons. Not just ships. They had will. On the alien flagship, panic spread among junior officers. Reports came in too fast. Losses in Sector 3. Enemy ships breaching formation. Their weapons cut through our armor. The commander slammed his fist. "Silence! They are nothing but a desperate race." But even as he shouted, he felt it, the fear he had mocked in humans now creeping into his own chest. In orbit near Mars, the Bat, Teal reached a turning point. The aliens tried to overwhelm the human fleet with brute force, pushing forward with their dreadnoughts. Giant cannons lit the darkness, their energy waves flattening entire asteroids. The human line shook. Some ships broke, and then Admiral Reyes gave a new order. Deploy the hidden wings. Out of the shadows of Mars, dozens of cloaked human vessels appeared. Small, fast, deadly. They dove straight into alien ranks, striking engines, slicing communication lines. Alien cruisers spun out of control, colliding with their own ships. Chaos spread like fire in dry grass. The alien commander stared at the unfolding disaster. "What are these ships? We scanned no such weapons." Humans had hidden them well. Years of secret construction, years of silence, while the galaxy laughed at their weakness. Now in one moment, the silence became thunder. Back on Earth, the broadcast reached billions of eyes. People watched in awe as human ships surrounded the once invincible Armada. In refugee shelters, children who had asked, "Will we die?" now asked, "Are we winning?" Hope was dangerous, but it was spreading faster than fear ever had. The alien commander gave one last desperate order. "Summon the dreadnought spear, crush their flagship. We will end this in one strike." A massive alien dreadnought moved forward, its hull shining like black steel, cannons glowing brighter than suns. It aimed directly at the human flagship. Inside the command deck of Admiral Reyes, alarms rang. Officers shouted, "Incoming! Their biggest ship is targeting us." But Reyes did not flinch. He only whispered, "Good. Let them come." The hidden weapon, the alien dreadnought, moved like a mountain across the stars, slow but unstoppable. Its cannons burned with light brighter than a sunrise, each shot powerful enough to crack a moon in half. Alien crews shouted in triumph. This was their spear, the weapon that had crushed entire civilizations before. As it turned its guns toward the human flagship, every alien voice echoed the same words: "End them." The blast came, an ocean of fire tearing through the void, unstoppable, final. The human flagship shook, alarms screamed, panels cracked. For a moment it looked as if humanity's center of command would vanish. But then, something new appeared. From deep inside the flagship, a pulse spread out, silent, invisible at first, then bright as lightning. The energy wave swallowed the alien fire, bending it, twisting it, and finally shattering it like glass. Alien officers stared in disbelief. "Commander, their ship survived." "No," the commander whispered, claws trembling. "That is impossible." The hidden weapon had a name: Aegis. For years it had been buried in secret projects, spoken of only in whispers, dismissed by the galaxy as a fantasy. But humans had built it anyway. A shield not of metal, but of living energy, bending the laws of physics. And now it was awake. The alien dreadnought tried again, unleashing fire after fire, beams that had destroyed planets before. Every blast broke on the Aegis shield like waves on stone. Inside the human flagship, Admiral Reyes stood calm. "Return fire," he ordered. Human weapons answered. Rail cannons roared. Plasma bursts cut through alien armor. A single shot from the flagship's new railgun ripped across the void and tore into the dreadnought's hull. The galaxy had never seen such power. Panic spread across the alien fleet. Captains screamed reports. "Their shields, nothing breaks them." "Our dreadnought is breached. Commander, we are losing." For the first time, the Armada felt fear. But humanity was not finished. Out of the dark side of Jupiter's shadow, another human fleet appeared. Reserve ships, larger than any seen before, armed with weapons the Galaxy Council had declared theory only. The alien commander slammed his fist. They had more? How? "We scanned Eve," brace system. But humans had hidden their strength well, pretending weakness for decades. They let the galaxy believe they were fragile, small, distracted by wars among themselves, and now, all at once, they revealed the truth. Human corvettes darted through alien ranks like sparks in a storm. Destroyers slammed torpedoes into cruiser engines. Carriers unleashed drone swarms that ripped into enemy formations. And everywhere the Aegis shields glowed, protecting human ships as they moved closer. The dreadnought's armor cracked, burning fire spilling from its wounds. Crew screamed as their commander tried to rally them. "Hold! We are still the Armada! We are—" His words ended when a human railgun round pierced straight through the dreadnought's heart. The giant split in two, its burning remains drifting lifelessly into the void. Billions watched from Earth and colonies. When they saw the dreadnought break apart, cheers erupted. People who had been preparing for death now shouted with joy. Tears streamed down faces. For the first time, they believed humanity could win. On the alien flagship, silence hung heavy. The commander stared at the wreckage of his greatest weapon, his claws shaking. He had led wars for centuries, crushed countless worlds, but never had he seen a fleet fight like this. "What are they?" he whispered. Inside the human flagship, Admiral Reyes looked at the map of glowing dots. The alien armada still outnumbered them, still stretched across the void like a storm. But now cracks had formed in their wall. Panic weakened their discipline. "Press the advantage," Reyes ordered. "Don't let them recover." Human ships surged forward. Torpedoes streaked across black space, detonating in waves. Alien formations crumbled. Everywhere the once invincible armada fell back. In the Galaxy Council chambers, ancient empires watched the battle through hidden eyes. Whispers spread. They should not have survived. The armada should have rushed them. What are these humans? For centuries, the Council had dismissed Earth as young, reckless, unworthy of respect. Now in one battle, humanity had erased an armada's pride and turned the galaxy's laughter into silence. On the battlefield, alien officers begged their commander to retreat. "We are being erased," one cried. "We must fall back." But the commander could not speak. His pride chained him to the chair. He watched as one after another his ships burned, while humans advanced without fear. The turning tide, the void was littered with fire. Broken ships drifted like dying stars, their burning hulls casting long shadows across the darkness. Where once the alien armada had stretched like an endless wall, now gaps were opening, holes carved by human fire. Admiral Reyes stood on the command deck of the human flagship, hands behind his back, eyes locked on the tactical map. Every red dot of the alien fleet was a threat. Every blue dot of the human fleet was a promise. "Sector 3 cleared," an officer reported. "Enemy dreadnought destroyed," another added. Reyes gave a single nod. No celebration, no smile, only one word: advance. On the alien flagship, chaos filled the air. Officers shouted, screens flickered, reports screamed of more losses. The commander's voice thundered through the madness. "Regroup, cut them down." But regrouping was not easy. Humans fought differently from anything the Armada had seen in centuries. They did not move in slow, predictable lines. Their ships flowed like rivers, breaking and reforming formations with speed that seemed impossible. Alien fleets trained for domination, for crushing foes with sheer weight. But against humans, that weight became clumsy. A young alien officer shouted, "Commander, they split again, small wings moving between our cruisers." The commander roared back, "Trap them!" But as the aliens closed their net, the human wings scattered, weaving between asteroids, diving through debris, striking from blind angles. Torpedoes cut through engines. Plasma bursts ripped apart hangar bays. One alien cruiser, massive and proud, was reduced to silence in seconds by a handful of human corvettes. On Earth, billions watched the battle feed. The sight of alien giants falling to smaller, faster human ships filled hearts with fire. Children who had trembled now pointed at the screens with wide eyes. "Look, that's us!" In underground bunkers where families once whispered prayers of survival, voices now rose in unison. "Fight back. Don't stop. Show them." Humanity's spirit was no longer fear. It was fury. In orbit near Saturn, the battle reached a brutal height. Alien carriers unleashed swarms of drones, black clouds of metal designed to rip ships apart. The swarms screamed across space, thousands of blades cutting toward human fleets. But the humans had prepared. Hidden in their carriers were weapons never shown to the galaxy. Autonomous hunter drones, each guided by artificial intelligence that adapted in real time. When the alien swarm arrived, the hunters responded. In moments, the black cloud of alien drones turned into chaos. Human hunters tore through them like wolves in a flock. Explosions dotted the void. Alien voices cracked with fear. "Our swarms, they are falling apart. They are learning our moves." Inside the alien flagship, the commander felt his pride bleeding. The humans were not just fighting back. They were rewriting the rules of war. Every tactic the Armada used, the humans countered. Every formation they built, the humans broke. "They should not be capable of this," he muttered, claws digging into the chair. But capable they were. Admiral Reyes leaned closer to the tactical map. His calm voice cut through the air. "They are splitting again, chasing shadows. That is their mistake." He turned to his officers. "Signal Fleet Omega, begin the hammer," and then it happened. From the far side of the system, another human fleet appeared. They had been silent, hidden, waiting for the right moment. Now, like thunder rolling across the stars, they arrived. The aliens found themselves trapped. Human fleets closed from both sides, one from the front, one from the rear. The Armada was caught between hammer and anvil. Alien captains screamed to break formation, but panic had already taken hold. Ships collided as they tried to retreat. Commands were lost in noise. The human fleets fired together, thousands of cannons unleashing in a single perfect strike. Entire squadrons of alien ships vanished in a storm of light. In the Galaxy Council chambers, silence ruled. No one spoke. Ancient species who once laughed at humans now leaned forward in fear. "They have done the impossible," one elder whispered. "They fight like no one else," another muttered. And deep inside, the council realized something dangerous. If humans could destroy the Armada, then no empire was safe from them. On the alien flagship, the commander stood frozen, his empire burning around him. Every instinct told him to order retreat, to save what was left. But his pride, his centuries of conquest, chained him to silence. As human fire tore through another wing of ships, the commander whispered to himself, "This cannot be real." The breaking point, the battlefield was no longer a wall of alien power. It was chaos. Broken ships spun in flames, wreckage scattered across the void, and the once perfect Armada was now nothing but fragments struggling to survive. Inside the human flagship, Admiral Reyes spoke calmly, though his eyes carried the weight of every life at risk. "Keep pressure on their center. Do not let them regroup. Drive them apart." His officers obeyed without hesitation. The human fleet moved like one body, every ship a part of the same heartbeat. Their weapons lit the stars, carving through the Armada, piece by piece. On the alien flagship, desperation turned into fear. The commander shouted over the noise of failing systems, "Reform! Close ranks!" But his orders were met with chaos. Some captains ignored him, fleeing deeper into the system. Others turned their fire on random human ships, hoping for a lucky strike. Discipline was gone. The alien empire had ruled for centuries through fear, but now fear was their own prison. In the orbit of Saturn, a human captain named Darius Kane faced a choice. His destroyer, Valiant, was damaged, shields flickering, engines failing. Yet before him loomed the alien flagship, the heart of the Armada. His crew looked to him, voices shaking. "Captain, if we stay, we die. We should retreat to the fleet." But Kane's eyes locked on the flagship, its shields glowing, its command decks alive with orders. He knew one truth. If that ship fell, the Armada would break completely. "No retreat," Kane said softly. "Not today." The Valiant dove forward, engines burning with their last power. Alarms screamed, metal groaned, but the destroyer surged ahead like a spear. Alien gunners laughed at first. One small human ship, charging against their might. Then they fired. But Kane twisted the ship, weaving through blasts, cutting close enough that alien shots missed by inches. The crew of the Valiant worked in silence, every hand moving with determination. They knew what this meant. They knew there was no way back. As the flagship grew larger in their screens, Kane whispered, "For Earth." Inside the alien flagship, officers shouted in confusion. "One human ship charging straight at us," the commander sneered. "Destroy them." But the Valiant was already too close. The destroyer slammed into the flagship's shield, its torpedoes firing at point-blank range. Explosions ripped across the alien ship's surface, cracking armor, tearing through weapon decks. The impact shook the massive vessel like an earthquake in space. And then, the Valiant detonated. A burst of light brighter than any star filled the void. The human destroyer sacrificed itself, and the alien flagship's shields collapsed in an instant. In the human fleet, silence fell as they watched the explosion. Then Admiral Reyes spoke, his voice like steel. "All units, target the flagship. Finish this." Thousands of human guns roared together, railguns, plasma cannons, torpedoes, all fired in unison. The alien flagship cracked, split, and finally exploded, its remains scattering into the endless dark. On every alien ship, the effect was instant. Captains froze, officers panicked, crews abandoned posts. Their symbol of command was gone. The Armada, once united, was now nothing more than fragments of terrified ships. On Earth, billions cried out in victory as they saw the flagship die. Names of the Valiant and Captain Kane spread instantly across every screen, every colony. His sacrifice became legend in that single moment. Inside the Galaxy Council, the silence was even heavier. The elders stared at the destruction of the Armada's pride. "One destroyer brought down their command," whispered a counselor. "No, one human did," another corrected. They all knew the truth. The galaxy had changed. In the wreckage of the battle, Admiral Reyes did not smile. Victory was near, but he knew the cost. Still, his voice carried strength when he gave the next order. "Press forward, leave none of their command standing. Humanity fights as one." And the fleet answered. The Armada tried to scatter, but humans did not let them escape. Squadrons hunted down stragglers, corvettes cut engines, carriers unleashed drones to chase retreating ships. Everywhere the aliens turned, humanity was waiting. An alien officer cried out in despair, "We are surrounded! There is no path!" And in those words, the truth was clear. The hunters were no longer aliens. The hunters were human. The silence after fire, the battle was over, but the silence was louder than the guns had ever been. Across the void, wreckage drifted in slow motion, broken cruisers, burning carriers, shattered dreadnoughts. Sparks of fire glowed like dying stars. For the first time in centuries, the Alien Armada was not a wall of power. It was a graveyard. Inside the human flagship, no one cheered. Alarms still flickered, medics rushed through halls, and engineers worked to keep damaged ships alive. Admiral Reyes stood at the center, his voice steady but softer now. "Report status." "We have losses," an officer said quietly. "Many ships gone. Valiant confirmed destroyed. Thousands dead." Reyes closed his eyes for a moment. He thought of Captain Kane, of the crew who had not returned. Their sacrifice had broken the enemy's spine, but their absence cut deep. "Log every name," he ordered. "They will not be forgotten." In the ruins of the Armada, some alien ships still floated, weapons gone, engines failing. Escape pods drifted from the wrecks, tiny signals blinking weakly in the dark. Human gunners targeted them, fingers ready on the triggers. It would have been easy. One shot, and the remnants of the Armada would vanish forever. But Admiral Reyes raised his hand. "Stand down." Officers turned to him in shock. "Sir, they are the enemy. Survivors." "Yes," Reyes said, his voice calm, "but they are also broken, unarmed, and we are not executioners." On the alien flagship's wreckage, survivors watched in disbelief as human ships approached. They expected fire. They expected death. But instead, human rescue craft extended arms, pulling pods into safety. Alien soldiers, weak and wounded, stared at the humans with wide eyes. Mercy was not something the Armada had ever given in its long history of conquest, but now they were receiving it from those they had mocked as primitive. Whispers spread among the alien survivors. "They spared us. Why? They could have destroyed us all." For the first time, the Armada felt shame. On Earth, the news traveled fast. Images of humans rescuing alien survivors reached billions. People were divided. Some demanded vengeance for every life lost. Others wept at the sight of mercy given in the middle of victory. But everywhere, one truth was clear. Humanity had chosen not only to win, but to rise higher. In the Galaxy Council, the silence was heavier than ever. The elders watched recordings of the battle, of the dreadnoughts destroyed, of the flagship shattered, of humans sparing enemies who would not have done the same. An elder with silver eyes whispered, "This is new. No race has fought with such fury, then shown such mercy." Another added, "They are dangerous, but they are also different." The Council had once ignored Earth, calling it a child among giants. Now they could no longer look away. Inside the human fleet, messages poured in from colonies, from Earth, from every corner of humanity. Some were filled with grief, naming the dead, others carried fire, praising victory, and many carried words of awe. "We are not weak. We are not prey. We are human. Admiral Reyes listened, his face still calm. He knew what this meant. Humanity had stepped onto the stage of the galaxy, not as victims, not as shadows, but as something new. In the alien camps of survivors, a commander who had once mocked humanity now sat silent, his head bowed. He spoke softly to his crew. We thought them small. We thought them fragile, but they fight with strength we cannot match, and mercy we cannot understand. His words traveled, whispered from ship to ship, survivor to survivor, and soon, even in defeat, the Armada carried a message back to its empire. Fear them, respect them, for they are human. Back on Earth, the name of Captain Kane became legend. Children spoke it in schools, families lit candles for the valiant. Across colonies, people painted his ship on walls, carved his sacrifice into stone. But beyond his name, something greater lived. The idea that humanity was not just fighting for survival, it was fighting for dignity. The legend begins, the wreckage of the Armada still floated in the dark when the first stories began. On Earth, people filled the streets, no longer afraid, no longer whispering of defeat. They sang, they cried, they shouted the names of those who had fallen. Candles lit in windows made the cities glow like stars. In every colony, from Mars to Titan to Europa, one message burned in every heart. Humanity had stood and humanity had won. Children played with wooden ships pretending to be the Valiant, the destroyer that had given its life to break the flagship. Parents told them, remember Kane, remember his crew. And in those small voices, in those tiny games, a legend was already alive. The survivors of the Alien Armada returned to their empire in shame. Thousands of ships had come to Earth's doorstep, certain of victory. Only fragments returned, carrying broken officers and trembling soldiers. At first their leaders raged. You let primitives destroy you. But the survivors answered with silence. Some spoke softly. They are not primitives. They are something we do not understand. Those words spread through the empire like fire through dry grass. Fear grew in the halls of their rulers, who had once believed no power could challenge them. In the Galaxy Council, the debate was endless. Empires older than Earth itself argued in hushed tones. Humans are reckless. They will destroy balance. No, they are dangerous, yes, but also merciful. They save survivors. Does mercy matter if their weapons can break an armada? The Council, for the first time in centuries, could not agree, and beneath their arguments lay one truth they dared not speak aloud. Humanity had changed the galaxy in a single battle. Admiral Reyes returned to Earth in silence. The fleet that followed him was scarred, its ships wounded, its crews carrying both pride and grief. But as they entered orbit, they saw the world below shining with lights, millions waiting to welcome them home. When Reyes stepped onto the ground, people reached for him, cheering, crying, thanking him. But he raised his hand, shaking his head. Do not thank me, thank them, the ones who did not return. His words carried across the world. Humanity did not celebrate blindly. They remembered the cost. And yet, even in grief, something greater grew. For the first time, Earth and its colonies were not divided. No more Earth versus Mars, no more old rivalries. They had fought as one, and now they stood as one. Banners of unity hung in cities. Children from different colonies learned the same story. Governments that had argued for decades now spoke in one voice. The aliens had tried to break humanity. Instead, they had made it whole. In the Armada's empire, whispers became fear, and fear became respect. No ship dared cross into human space again. Alien merchants began to speak cautiously of trade instead of conquest. Alien generals, once arrogant, now studied human battle records in silence. And in the private chambers of alien rulers, the words returned again and again. Fear them, respect them. But not everyone feared. Some listened. Among the alien survivors who had been spared, something strange grew. Admiration. They had been shown mercy when they deserved none. In dark halls, alien veterans told their children, they could have killed us all, but they chose not to. And so, even among enemies, the seeds of respect took root. Back on Earth, years later, statues of the valiant stood tall in every city. Not statues of kings, not of emperors, but of a single ship and its crew. For in their sacrifice, humanity had found not just victory, but meaning. Poets wrote of the silence after fire. Children whispered bedtime stories of the ship that lit the stars.
And always, in every story, one truth remained: humanity had faced annihilation, and instead gave birth to legend. The Galaxy Council finally put it into words. In a historic decree, they spoke aloud what the stars already knew: Earth is no longer a child of the galaxy. Earth is a power. The words echoed across empires, across colonies, across fleets and homes. And in those words, humanity's place in the galaxy was sealed.